just before starting off, I'd just like to say two quick things. First of all, our thoughts obviously are with Gord Wilson. I was told that he was around the rink today, and that's probably the best news of the day. Second, I'd like to thank Dylan DeMello, Jean-Gabriel Pajot, Vladimir Nemeskov, and Tyler Ennis, and their families for their contributions on and off the ice, for the players and for their families off the ice. Floor is open to questions.
Pierre, it's Bruce Garriock, Post Media. When did you make the decision that JG wasn't going to get done with JG, and what was kind of the process leading to making that deal?
Well, the process. I'll answer the second part of the question. The process was obviously we were in contract negotiations for the last little while. We felt that we made good progress on a contract, and at a certain point in time, we saw that the contract couldn't be done, and from then on, we started looking at options of possibly moving him.
Bien, Sylvain Saint-Laurent du journal Le Droit. Est-ce qu'il y a eu beaucoup de demandes pour Pajot? Est-ce qu'il y a plusieurs équipes qui s'intéressent à lui?
Oh, je pense que la chose pour Jean-Gabriel, c'est qu'il y a une équipe qui voulait vraiment l'avoir, puis c'est les Islanders. Puis pour nous, c'était un bon retour. Et puis, sur ce côté-là, on est très content pour lui. Je pense qu'il y a eu un très beau contrat. Puis on est content pour lui et sa femme pour qu'il y ait du succès dans le futur.
Could you just kind of sum up your day and with the deals you did make and how you felt about it?
Obviously, today was a good day in advancing the plan that we have for the rebuild. I think if you sum up the day, you look at the sum of the draft picks that we got. I think it was important for us to do that. We did one deal where we just added someone we feel is an NHL depth player to help us get through, and we want the players in Belleville, especially the young group, and some of the key veterans to keep on winning there for our playoff run there. So if you sum up the day, you look at all the assets that we were able to acquire, all the picks that we were able to acquire, especially for this year's draft. I think it says a lot. It's one of the deepest drafts that I can remember, according to our scouts, and that I've seen personally in the last 20 years. And it's a deep draft in the first round, and our scouts and myself feel that it's a deep draft in the first 3 rounds. Well, obviously, if we were going to trade a player of that caliber, we felt that we needed a good return. And, it's not just trading Jean-Gabriel, it's trading all the other players that we traded. And, the return of Jean-Gabriel was a first and a second. And, we just got another pick because we feel he'll help them definitely, whether they make the playoffs for their Stanley Cup run.
Brent Wallace, TSN, just to follow that up. What was the market like for Jean-Gabriel Pajot when you see that it's a first-round pick and a second round? Was there multiple teams calling? What kind of returns were we looking at?
Obviously, there were teams calling. I think you always got to be respectful to the process and, not say the number. But I think I give a lot of credit to Lou Lamoriello when he put the first-rounder on the table. And then, we're talking multiple pieces. He put the other pieces on. We knew that we could get a deal done. I think there were other teams that were disappointed they couldn't get him. Because at the same time, I think you always have to do what's best for the organization, what's best for the plan moving forward. And if you knew you can't sign the player, that at the same time, you make sure that you can get a very good return. And we felt that was the case with this particular deal.
You have a few other UFAs left over, and I don't know how much you can talk about it, but Craig Anderson or someone like Mark Borowiecki, were they looking to be moved?
On Craig, I think when we're going to have this type of team, it's not a bad thing to have a veteran goalie. Craig never expressed interest to us to move him, and we were always going to respect that. I told Mark Borowiecki at some time in December that he was not going to be traded. I think there's got to be a human side to how we do our business here. And we both know, everyone knows here that Mark and his wife were expecting their first child. And to get the return that probably would have got to Mark wasn't worth it. And then we wanted Mark to be here till the end of the year, possibly talk contract negotiations moving forward, because we really like what he brings to our team, how he shows our younger kids how to play, how he practices hard every day. And I think those are key elements for us in the rebuild.
Lisa Wallace with Canadian Press. Since this rebuild process started, you've often talked about the need for veteran players to surround and support this young group, but we're seeing a number of these veteran players move out the door. So is it being harder than you expected to keep some of them, or should we expect you to try and sign some in the offseason?
Well, I think right now we all feel that we have some here right now, and there are some that we will try to sign. At the same time, I can tell you that today was probably the toughest call I've ever made as a general manager. It was very difficult to tell Jean Gabriel that he was traded. I remember watching him in Gatineau in the playoffs against Jonathan Huberdeau and how he played well, and we were fortunate enough to take him, if I'm not mistaken, in the 4th round that year, and how good he played. And I can tell you I don't get very emotional a lot with players, but today was a very difficult call to make with him.
I don't know if you can answer this, but at the end of the day, was it a dollars or term that maybe was the stumbling block to get a deal done?
No, I think it was just part of the plan. Just for us, the return that we could get to make us a better team, the assets that we have, the 13 picks that we now have going into a strong draft. That was what we talked about. And at the same time, you have to look at, we're in first place in Belleville. You look at, or the team is driven by Drake Batherson, who's a young winger, but you look at Logan Brown. Josh Norris was fourth in scoring before we called him up for his first game the other night. J.C. Bourdin's played some solid hockey up and down. We got Philip Chaplik. We have a lot of depth at center. So sometimes you got to weigh the pros and the cons about everything that you're trying to do in a rebuild. And this was part of the plan, is that if we couldn't get him signed, we needed a fair return. But we know we have the depth to to move on from Jean-Gabriel Pageau, as painful it might be. And it's painful for everyone today. But at the same time, we know we're going to be in a good place moving forward.
Pierre, tu viens de dire en anglais que tu as beaucoup de profondeur au centre, tu as beaucoup de jeunes joueurs. Maintenant, Pageau joue un rôle assez important, affronter les meilleurs trios adverses chaque soir. As-tu quelque chose, un plan en place pour lui succéder dans ce rôle-là?
Ça, c'est surtout à DJ. C'est surtout DJ qui fait un excellent travail cette année. C'est surtout à lui de décider comment ces trios vont être remaniés, contre qui jouer, qui va jouer contre les meilleurs trios de l'autre équipe. Donc, pour nous, c'est pas à moi de décider, mais je sais qu'on a nos 4 centres en ce moment devraient être Chris Turney, Artem Anisimov, Colin White et Matthew Pekka.
Pierre, Wayne Scanlon, Sportsnet.ca. I think you've got 9 picks in the first 3 rounds and 13 overall in 2020. Have you thought yet about how you might use these, whether you might use them to try to move up or use them to get more assets?
It's a great question, Wayne. When you think about it, we have 13 picks this year, obviously 9 in the first 3 rounds. I'm not telling you that we're going to pick 9 players in the first 3 rounds, but these are picks that could be used to maybe get NHL players. Maybe you bundle some up to move up in the draft. You look at your options. Right now, we have 3 first-rounders. The only way that would happen is if the Islanders would miss the playoffs and win the first 3 picks, and then we get 2 first-rounders next year. So we've looked at a lot of scenarios. We had some time today with all our pro scouts in, where we could possibly target teams that players that could be available in the trade market, whether it's after the season, draft time, summer, and at the same time we've got a plan. A few years ago, I remember sitting with Eugene in Barbados, talking about this plan, and he knew that there'd be some tough nights ahead. But for us, we're definitely. I don't look at the points this year. I always looked at how we play and how we compete. And to me, we've competed for most of the games. We've been in most of the games. We play hard. DJ's done an unbelievable job with the way he's coached this year. And it's not going to be easier going forward. But I was talking a few nights ago at Chris Phillips' retirement night to Barbara Crook, who's one of our biggest fans. And she said people are missing out this year on how hard we play and how fun we are to watch. And it really resonated with me, that comment. Sometimes you get a bit lost in the wins and losses, but you forget when you have a plan in place. And this year was about competing, showing up every game, trying to get the maximum effort from everyone. And that from that part, I would have to give our coaches a lot of credit and our players a lot of credit in what we're trying to do.
L'an dernier, après le départ de plusieurs vétérans, tu as mentionné plusieurs noms de vétérans pour encadrer tes jeunes. Là, maintenant, quand tu regardes ton alignement en ce moment, c'est qui les joueurs qui vont jouer le rôle de mentor pour les jeunes qui vont monter l'an prochain?
On ne sait pas quel vétéran qui va être ici pour l'année prochaine. Mais je pense qu'il faut qu'on regarde qu'on est dans une évaluation de notre équipe, puis on regarde comme des gars comme Thomas Chabot, Brady Tkachuk, Colin White, ils prennent de la maturité. Et ces gars-là vont avoir de plus en plus un gros mot à dire dans la chambre. Je pense que ça fait partie de l'évaluation, ça fait partie du plan pour nos vétérans et une plus grande présence.
Jobin de Radio-Canada, tu en as parlé un petit peu en anglais à Lisa. Veux-tu revenir un peu, quand tu parlais de faire le meilleur move pour ton organisation, en quoi aller chercher ces pics-là est le bon move pour toi, et l'aspect dont tu parlais pour Jean-Gabriel d'avoir vu en 2011, que c'était un petit peu négatif pour toi?
La seule affaire que je peux vous dire, c'est que ça a toujours fait partie du plan d'avoir le plus de choix cette année dans ce repêchage, parce qu'on sait que c'est un repêchage très profond. Et puis, pour nous, avec notre groupe de dépisteurs, on a une bonne chance d'aller acquérir le plus de choix possible. On sait que plusieurs de ces joueurs-là vont être des bons joueurs éventuellement dans la Ligue nationale. Puis du côté de Jean-Gabriel, depuis que je suis directeur gérant ici à Ottawa, je pense pas que j'ai eu une conversation plus difficile que celle que j'ai eue aujourd'hui avec Jean-Gabriel. C'est quelqu'un que j'étais recruteur en chef, j'oublie c'était quoi exactement mon rôle, mais je sais que j'avais un gros mot à dire quand on l'a repêché. Je me rappelle l'avoir vu en 2011 jouer contre Jonathan Huberdeau en finale de la Ligue, en finale de la Ligue junior majeure du Québec, dans la finale des séries, comment il avait bien joué, comment on était excité de le repêcher, puis de le voir grandir d'ici à Binghamton, avoir le rôle qu'il a avec notre équipe. C'est une conversation difficile aujourd'hui, mais on est très content pour lui et sa famille. On est bien content du retour qu'on a eu, et lui, on lui souhaite une bonne chance. No, I think there's a few things that we should just talk about a roster before moving forward. Most likely, Bobby Ryan will play tomorrow. There's a few protocol things that we have to do. But the one thing that we should be the most proud of is we're there to support Bobby. We're very proud of how he's spoken about his battles, and we'll do anything for him to have success with us this year. And we just figured that probably his first game on a back-to-back after not playing from November would not be the smartest thing, and there was a few little things that we had to get through done today that we probably couldn't, so he'll play tomorrow, most likely his first game. Second, on Nielsen, he's with the team. He's going to play at a certain point in time. The one thing that we always make sure is that when it comes to a concussion, that the player is not 100%, but 110%, and we want to make sure that he's good to go when he's ready to go. No, both right now, we've advised the league both players' flights into Columbus are a bit delayed. So we'll probably start the game with 2 players short, but they'll be there by the end of the first period. It's unfortunate, but that's what travel plans, and that's what playing on trade deadline day for us in Columbus. We're the only road team on trade deadline day, and unfortunately, with planes, players can be there late. But it looks like Rudolph Balcers was called up. His flight was delayed, and Matthew Pekka's flight was also delayed getting into Columbus. So they'll both be there just for about puck drop, but by the time they warm up, it's unfortunate. But it's not the situation we like, but we can't control it. Okay, thanks, Pierre. Thank you, merci beaucoup.